Set for release in early access January 30th, 2024 on PCVR by developer and publisher Into Studio, Chrono Hunter is a VR roguelite that has got my attention. As it stands, Chrono Hunter is still rough around the edges, but if Into Studio is able to add the necessary refinements to this gem, VR players will be in for a great start to 2024. Thanks to Into Studio for the review key. Check out the Lab Video Game TV, the TV series, in 25 countries across the Caribbean, only on Flow One. Season 11 starts soon. Download the official Flow Sports app to watch us on Flow, on the go. Now, where story is concerned, there is one, but as with most roguelites I've experienced, the story takes a backseat, way back.
What's that look on your face? Oh, you don't remember who I am anymore, do you?
Something is going on with Dark Crystals. You have memory loss and work with two others. One named Eliza, who seems to be calling the shots and breaking things down for you. And this other guy who seems to have an addiction to steroids. He shows you the ropes in the training area.
Relax, there's no danger inside the training ground.
There's also something about time travel as well, which I suspect will open up as the development of Chrono Hunter progresses. Currently, there's only one chapter available. Chapter 2 should be ready by early access release. In the audio department, this is where the cracks start to show. While the little music that's here sounds fine and fitting, while the voice acting, Eliza in particular, sounds good enough, their missing sound effects abound. Many places where you'd expect to hear sound, there are none. Smashing crates, powering up your weapons and so on. This is really noticeable, and I'm sure will be ironed out before launch, but as it stands, it's like a sore thumb which hinders immersion. I love the visuals. Chrono Hunter does the whole cel-shaded anime hero shooter look very well in VR. With exaggerated character designs, vibrant colors, lush environments, brilliant cartoon-styled weapons and enemy designs, and beautiful particle effects. There is some clipping, but yeah, still love these visuals.
Now, grab your pistol, soldier. This is the Dawnbreaker.
Over in gameplay, I've got a lot to say. Before playing Chrono Hunter, I heard other reviewers liken it to Overwatch, calling it a VR hero shooter, or the Overwatch of VR. Now, while I've spent no appreciable amount of time playing Overwatch, or any looter shooter for that matter, an Overwatch VR hero shooter this is not, but it doesn't need to be. I'll get on that more in a bit. On startup, we've got a fair amount of settings to tinker with. We got configuration settings, controls, sound, graphics, and language. Then we're quickly thrown into a bit of exposition, then it's off to the training rooms.
Let's load it up and start shooting.
The initial training area is very basic, but serves its purpose well. There is, however, advanced weapons training, which I'd advise any and every newcomer to partake in. This is where you'll get an in-depth understanding of your three primary weapons and their skill orbs, these power-ups which come randomly paired with each primary. Chrono Hunter has a unique gameplay loop. At first, you go through what feels like a prelude of sorts. You play through a few stages which feels like an introduction for what's to come.
I prepared some skills for you. Pick what your heart desires. Might come in handy later.
You go through a stage where you have to destroy these rifts created by dark crystals, which also seems to be what's conjuring the enemy. You destroy the crystals, close the rifts, which act as enemy spawn points.
So you'll be barehanded once you're there. Sneaking is recommended.
Then you'll go through a stealth stage, which was a complete pain. I trust the devs will reconsider and remove or completely overhaul. I got frustrated with this area and just ran through to the end. The fact that even worked speaks volumes of its flawed design.
There are weapons on the racks. Pick one up and win this tournament.
Then you fight through a Coliseum arena-like match, which pretty much throws more enemy types at you to familiarize yourself with, as well as your other two primary weapons, the bow and the magical staff. At first, you can only use your sidearm combo. So like I said, this is presented as a get your feet wet, understand the lay of the land kind of thing. I suspect it won't be like this in the final build, or even chapter 2, but as it stands, this is the beginning of the gameplay loop.
Everyone in the Coliseum will remember you.
At the end of the arena battle, the first boss is revealed, but you cannot engage yet. This is just the reveal. This takes you on the road to confronting the boss. And then you get to choose your primary combo and enter in what I consider the main gameplay loop. You go through pretty much all the things you experienced before, but now this is where the roguelite elements come into play. You'll be able to modify your weapons through the use of these workbenches. Here, you're able to add perks to your weapon of choice. You can choose to max out your elemental powers, abundance, lethal, endless, proliferation, unique and such. These basically represent particular abilities, like adding a special grenade for your pistol, adding multiple arrows shot at once from your bow, adding a whirlwind or freeze effect when fired and so on. What's important here is to find a combo that suits your playstyle. If you feel the gun works best for you based on what it offers, then go there. If being a mage or sorceress floats your boat, then more power to you. I usually go with the mage, but this time I found that the most unexpected weapon worked best for me, the bow. Using a bow in VR yields as much success for me as throwing in VR does. It just never worked and I always kept my distance, avoiding a bow and arrow in VR like the plague. But here in Chrono Hunter, well, it must be the laser sight on this bow, but this here is my go-to. Then there's a 3-pick system all roguelite players should be familiar with by now. Here, Chrono Hunter uses cards. These cards, which are found at supply boxes after clearing an area, determines your speed, strength, lethal attacks, defensive attacks, and your star coins usage in battle. Star coins are also the currency you use at merchants during a run. I'll get back to that in a few. These cards work well during runs and can take you a far way, determining the difference between frustrating failure and a successful run. These cards are color-coded and stackable based on color. Each color represents an ability, and once again, I advise you to choose wisely based on your personal style. If you're an agile player who subscribes to the stick and move float like a butterfly strategy, then focus on the speed cards. Stack those. If you're a brute force player like I am here in Chrono Hunter, then stack strength cards. There's supposed to be a bonus after stacking a card full. I'm not certain what that bonus is, but there was a point where my weapon's side orb was able to be used multiple times before entering cooldown. So maybe that's what stacking all the way does. Powers up your side orbs. Not sure. Your stack will reset should you change to a different color ability during a run. So far, I've experienced no permanent upgrades. All reset after death. So I'm guessing, like with others in the genre, you'll get permanent upgrades once you've defeated a boss and entered the next area. I'll know for sure once Chapter 2 releases.
Over there at the podium. Bellona appears. I'll start pinpointing her coordinates immediately.
Where currency is concerned, the star coins. These can be obtained by smashing objects and defeating enemies. You can then use the coins in 2 ways. You can save them up and spend them at the merchant during a run, or you can use the star coin cards, which allow you perks, like using all your coins for an extra life after the final blow lands, a second chance card. The merchant, like in many other roguelites, is placed close to the boss encounter. For good reason. You can buy health and a couple other needed buffs to ready your character for the showdown. Where the hero shooter Overwatch references are concerned, this brings me to some aspects of Chrono Hunter I'm not too in love with. Mobility. When I think hero shooters, when I think games like Overwatch, I think agility, verticality, grappling all over the maps and so on. Well, here in Chrono Hunter, that may be work in progress, because there are these grapple points in some areas, but only some. And they're seldom present. And here's the worst part. Grappling things in Chrono Hunter, picking things up is really hit and miss. Mostly miss. It's very difficult to focus on an object to pull it towards you or pull yourself towards it, which is how you're supposed to travel vertically. Most times it doesn't work. So, while it would have been great to be grappling all over the maps, evading enemy attacks like in Titanfall 2, and I initially thought the concept was grossly underutilized, it's for the best here in Chrono Hunter that it's not required or expected. As it stands, it would have been a total mess if it was. You do have a pretty effective dash ability though, which requires a cooldown after 3 consecutive dashes, but you can't sprint. Not certain if this is a staple in hero shooters. Not certain if that's why we have this dash cooldown system instead of an actual sprint. But I see Chrono Hunter as a roguelite with hero shooter potential. But from my experiences so far, this is no hero shooter. The class choices, which are determined by the weapons you choose, which pretty much makes you a gunner, a sorcerer, or an archer, are the closest similarities I see to a hero shooter, and I have no issue with that. What I do have issues with though are the crashes. Although for most part, Chrono Hunter seems well optimized, it did crash quite a bit my first time playing. It happened several times and had me thinking I'd have to revisit it after a couple months when the devs ironed these kinks out, but after a while I had no more crashes and was able to complete this review.
Nice. Now pummel anyone who stands in your way.
Then the melee weapons, although quite helpful, feel weightless. And there should be an option to store weapons on your back. Well, at least that's what the devs call it. They're really on your hip, not your back. But the option only works well in theory. The ability to pick up a hammer or a shield and use them as melee defense and attacks. I picked up a hammer and stored it on my hip once. I grabbed it, but couldn't put it back. After that, each time I picked up the hammer and attempted to put it on my hip, it wouldn't stay. There's also a bunch of grammatical errors on the loading screens as well. If you join the Discord, you'll see though the devs are actively taking feedback and hard at work on Chapter 2 and the early access release. So I'm confident all or at least most major or minor bugs will be dealt with. So far, so good. Flaws and all, Chrono Hunter VR is shaping up to be one really good roguelite. Fans of the genre can look forward to this potentially solid title keeping them busy for 2024. And should it be refined more as an actual roguelite hero shooter, then more power to more players, as the expansion should not detract from Chrono Hunter's overall quality, and would only serve to bring even more players on board. Check out the Lab Video Game TV, the TV series on Flow One in 25 countries across the Caribbean. Only on Flow One. Download the official Flow Sports app to watch us on Flow on the go. Visit the website at thelabvideogametv.com and reach out to us at contact@thelabvideogametv.com. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, turn on notifications, and all of that good stuff. Let's say on the other hand I found a way to piss you off with this one though. Then hey, do what you gotta do, dislike, unsub, leave a strongly worded diatribe in the comments section voicing your displeasure. Whatever it takes to make you feel vindicated, partner. Either way, I won't hold it against you. Our game is never over.
I hope you don't grow tired of my voice too soon, because you'll be hearing from me a lot. There's so much to do and so little time. Let's get to it.